There we are, and there you are, and welcome everyone to the Side Quest
Nice low,
live.
nice low energy intro this week.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
kind of
it.
low energy right now. This is your weekly video game podcast. You're the only one you listen to, the best, obviously, which is
Oh
why
yeah,
it's the only one. There's no other ones. Giant Bomb, they're
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
IGN doesn't exist anymore. What's a
yeah,
polygon even? We're into
yeah.
NURBS now and vectors and all vexels or whatever. This is it. It's just
Side
us.
side quest saving you from sponsored crypto posts since
Save you from. We are sponsored
2022.
by.
Your car based NFT virtual reality. Uh,
We are sponsored by the Tushy VR NFT in-car toilet pooping game brand. No,
Hell
we're not
yeah.
sponsored by anything. How
I
you
will
guys
take
doing?
that.
Yeah,
You
you'll
you see
actually.
you
I would totally take that.
you
Yeah,
mine your Bitcoin through the use of your bidet. It's revolutionary.
I'm actually
It,
out then. I'm out.
yeah,
I was in before and now that was it.
uh, it's yeah, it's definitely it's breaking the industry wide open for everyone now. Disrupting the industry of
Ooh, I like that
yeah.
disrupting. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's Silicon Valley speak, baby. When you're
I
trying
like
to
that. Yeah.
when you're
Yeah,
trying to push your all you've done was create a new type of vending machine, but you're disrupting the home convenience market or whatever.
Good point. Good point. Well, gents, I am my name is right there, Dolly Demofsky. This person's name right there is the underscore double underscore JJ Holder.
That's me. Yes.
Yep. And the person down there, I don't have the giant hand this time. I'm gonna keep it this way. Taylor at Taylor Bliss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
we are nice and we're low energy. We're gonna guide you calmly
Through
through
this.
the
Considering
game world.
basically all the news this week is NFT related, it's hard to
It
be
yeah, beautiful. Apparently, if you run a Twitter feed for any media outlet right now, that's you have a dedicated. Was it you
yeah.
have a dedicated intern that's hitting the button right now?
Yeah. Nobody learned.
Smashing that. They're just pressing the crypto button.
They have one job. It's to post the crypto sponsored tweet and then to delete it within 45 minutes because of how badly it's immediately received.
Mhm.
So
Non-fungible tweets, baby, NFTs. Well, we're gonna have a fun show. We've tripled the amount of folks that are on it. Last week it was just me
yeah.
talking about random stuff. I didn't get your opinion on a couple of these stories, though, so we'll definitely get to that. But first of all, thank you, gents. It's always great to talk to you guys.
Yeah, sorry for missing you last week, Dally. I fell asleep.
And
I did too. So
no, gentlemen, you feel asleep. You
I
feel
feel
it. That's all
asleep.
good.
I feel asleep.
To be honest, I was hoping to fall asleep that time, and I'm like, oh crap. Fuck, I've got to record a podcast, and the guys are relying on me, so I've got to hop on, so I get everything ready, and then no one joins me. I'm like, damn it, they did exactly what I wanted to do.
Your first
Honestly, I would have sat in the broadcast room before going live. I would have given it 5 minutes if nobody showed. Peace. No show this week. We're breaking for the new year.
your first mistake was thinking that we relied on you for anything, Dally.
Correct.
Oh no.
No, you're right. You're right about that. Well, get into a little bit of news. I want to touch on one thing from last week that we talked a little bit about in the Discord, but you guys were on the podcast and I was talking about, and that's E3 is not happening. At least not happening in person.
Yeah.
Might be going virtual because it's still kind of up and down, and
is going virtual meaningful in any way?
What does that even mean? Because all of the stuff that we really think about when we think about E3 isn't even like it's only happening because E3's happening. It's not directly connected to E3. It's just like here's our press event that's happening because it's E3 week. And this is like, so who the fuck cares? It's the point of E3 was always to just give the press exclusive access, and
yeah. I mean, here's the thing: is that even in the years, the more recent years, as E3 became more consumer accessible, there are still so many things that us as, or I mean, I still count myself as public because I never went to E3. That like there is so much industry stuff that they do that you just literally don't know about, that you think that like because you hear stories out of that. No, it's like there's so much other stuff that was happening, and a virtual show, again, for on the consumer side of things, sure. I mean, like, Jeff Keighley hosts the Game Awards every year and gives out trailers. So like that side of things can feel possible in the sense that journalists side get access to demos or something like that. That can be facilitated virtually. But the rest of the event, the way that it first started originally, can't. Like it's just not possible.
So and Jeff's already the blood was in the water, and the shark that is Jeff Keighley immediately jumps on it to announce within an hour of his summer game.
It was within 3 minutes. I think it was. He may have notifications set up about E3.
I mean, let's be honest. He probably knew.
Oh yeah, he 100% had to know. I'm sure that every news outlet that was much, much more significant than side questing knew.
There's none left. We're the only ones. No, it's Mike Futter at Futterish is a great guy to follow about the business side of things. We'll have to get him on the show one of these days. He noted that what he had heard was they had essentially canceled the in-person E3 as far back as like early to mid-November. Like they had actually scrapped plans because it wasn't the pandemic necessarily. It was just they could not figure out what they're doing with E3. And so and Omicron is a happy
and the ESA is a fucking mess right now. So
completely.
Yeah, I mean, but like if the ESA as an organization can't hold solidarity onto E3 and pivot it at all costs, then what is it gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like giving up E3 as an event is giving up as an organization for ESA.
100%.
It's what's interesting is that I don't know everything that the ESA does. Supposedly they lobby and fight for
their lobbying.
Their lobbying group.
Sure,
but they could do more. I mean, I've been a part of some virtual conferences over the last couple of years here, some much more successful than others. E3 last year was a disaster. There was zero need to get any type of press credentials for that. It was garbage, their whole back end stuff. And you look at the kind of stuff that Jeff Keighley does with Summer Game Fest, and the reason that E3 was really popular was, there was the media access, right? That was fantastic. There's also the buyer stuff. Back then, when it first started in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a whole aspect where retail was really involved and planning out for the rest of the year. Obviously, stuff has changed.
Because that's
the last 20 plus years. Yeah.
Like CES is going on or was going on. And it's like, that's what CES is. It is go there as a buyer. And, back in the day, you would have the Kmart representative shopping around to see what was good for their store shelves to move product. And video games. I mean, a lot of that stuff still happens, but E3 moved away from that real hard.
Especially as games are going more virtual, more digital. You don't need to have as much shelf space anymore. But I guess the point I'm getting at is there are certain aspects that the ESA can partner with other companies to do if they're still looking to get retail and buyers and that kind of stuff involved in a show like this. The ESA should be facilitating Parsec is a piece of software, and it's a network that people use to deliver gaming services, like one-to-one, sort of the business side of things. So not obviously user-based, consumer-based, but
wasn't that a big deal a few years ago with ESA because people were getting real shitty at the ESA because of their sort of stance on digital content and piracy and things, emulation and things like that. They weren't really for a lobbying group that's supposedly there for gamers. They really didn't have any gamer interest in so
Yeah, they need to
ESA's brand has been particularly damaged in like
completely agree.
the last decade. So,
and again, you look at like what Jeff does. People watch Jeff's show they don't watch for the awards. They watch for the
we did.
You know,
we
did.
streamed
We
that
watched
whole damn thing, and we talked over every award.
We talked over every award, so we could see what was new. And I think
we're quiet for the trailers.
Yeah, exactly. You're quiet for the trailer, and I think that's what like the general public wants out of E3 is they want to see game reveals, they want to see the in-depth stuff, and the ESA should be catering to that aspect to say, here's the schedule. We, the ESA, who you're paying money to lobby, even though there hasn't really been much lobbying and much in-person stuff, so we've been hoarding. I don't say hoarding this money, but they haven't been spending the money like in the past. We want to give access to the people that used to come to E3, which is the media, the retail, all that kind of stuff. They can now we've partnered with Parsec or whatever the company is, and make that one-to-one, the connection aspect viable. Because CES last year, I wasn't really a part of it this year. So I don't know if it did this year or not, but last year CES is actually really interesting in ways that I could personally connect with companies for products. I was looking at materials for my day job, looking at different like physical materials. So I would contact the company. If they knew that I was verified through CES, my contact information is in there, my business card, all that, my business info. And I organized meetings, I organized calls, I organized samples to be sent to me, that kind of stuff. E3 really needs to, the back end needs to support the whole business side of things and not just fight to, actually become a trade show again. Just do it virtually instead of, because the trailers are going to be there. The minute a trailer goes live on an Xbox or any press conference, within, 5 minutes, it's up on YouTube everywhere. So you don't even have to technically watch those press conferences. You can just go to Microsoft's webpage after and just watch all the videos there. But the beneficial side of E3 was that the business and the media side. And they really got to understand and focus that. So anyways, I don't know what's going to happen with E3. There's
a good. Good. Yeah.
Good. It's a bummer because I freaking loved going to E3 and making those connections, and you can't really do that virtually. It takes a longer time to do things over Twitter than it does, when you bump into someone at a bar or at a booth and get to know them. So, that
was still the best part of that. The really shitty PAX that I went to was just kind of getting that access still to these indie developers that usually you just exchange an email or two, but this year it was actually talking with these because pretty much everyone that was there was just like, oh, we're like a 4-person team or whatever. So
and I've PAX East. PAX is my favorite show by far because it's for that same reason. Smaller. You get to talk to like 4-person developers teams, and they're eager to show you their stuff. They're eager to talk to you, and then they bump into you at the bar later and say, "Hey, thanks for coming by the booth and checking out the game. It was really cool. What'd you think? Yeah, let me tell you this. Let me introduce you to some more folks from our team. Yeah, let me introduce you to this other media person." And then all of a sudden, your connections are growing, and you understand their development process. And I think that maybe that's for us for side questing. We've loved the indie stuff. I know Taylor over at Armless, you guys loved it too, and it's been, that's to us. That's really what made these events great, and you can't do that. But no, whatever. And who knows if PAX East?
PAX East hasn't been canceled yet, which is kind of a.
It's really busy. I mean, it's April. It's like mid to late April, whatever it is, but. Yeah, who knows? We'll see what happens with this.
That's cutting it down to the wire.
That's cutting it down to the wire
because leaving it as it is.
It's happening. It's going to be happening at this point.
Yeah,
it's going to be the exact PAX that I went to where it was like well lit and wide open, and you just kind of hang out and look at.
I'd be all for that if that's the case.
It was really refreshing.
I'll be in line for my booster shot right around that time too, so that'd be perfect for me. Get the booster and then hop in. Other news, I wanted to touch on this one. Microsoft has put our sweet prince, the Xbox One, is no longer in production.
The the most
Good night.
confusing system of all time. Like it's just, like everything what like started off as just a train wreck and just sort of
Man, it
Just
would
sort
have
of-
confused.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's crazy
It's-
to think about the Series
Yeah.
S and Series X launch,
Yeah.
where even the thought that like there could be something wrong with the Series S and Series X by comparison.
Yeah.
When you think about the fact that the Xbox One launched as a whole home media center
Yeah,
console,
it really
came with
yeah.
came with Kinect. The Xbox One S was an afterthought, came afterwards. I just like everything about the Xbox One was just
like
confused.
It really got sandbagged by that name because like
Yeah.
by the end of the
Mhm.
life cycle, the name meant fucking nothing.
Right.
Like it does everything. Like when it launched, it was like, oh, you're gonna plug your cable box into it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to control your cable box through it. Kinect was originally required, so you'll be able to talk
God,
to your
the
TV.
the first like 2 months where everybody was just like, yeah, there's like noticeable input lag when you put your cable box through the Xbox One. You're just like,
Yep.
oh no, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
And that was so it was unveiled on May 21st. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
Nice.
Unveiled on May 21st, 2013. And it just so much negative. Part of that was you had guys like Don Maddock there.
Yeah.
You had Adam Orth. Remember Adam Orth? He was tweeting stuff like,
Yes.
sorry, deal with it. We're like, dude, relax. 3 weeks later, Microsoft had completely reneged everything that made the Xbox One unique and said, you know what? It's just another console. We're going to take the always on stuff off. It actually had some interesting aspects to it. Like
I mean,
now
like,
you're like, that's what it is.
the
now.
multimedia box stuff was actually really interesting
Yeah.
and innovative, and just also simultaneously not what people wanted. It's just it's like, oh well.
Apple
they would,
TV was in its infancy, like the little box, Roku box, all that stuff was in its infancy.
yeah.
I absolutely loved my 1S like incredibly. Like once they kind of like fixed it and pushed out the 1S and like the 1S with its like 4K like DVD player built into it.
Yeah.
Like at the time when it came, it's like the PlayStation 2 when it came out. Like at the time, it was a really good value. Like even
And honestly, the way the PlayStation 3 being the first Blu-ray player, same
exactly.
idea.
And the thing was, like, even now, like a lot of 4K UHD players are still like in that 1S price range of like $200-ish, like 180 or whatever for like a quality one. And so it still behooved you up until like now where they've discontinued it to like still just get a 1S as if you wanted a 4K player. It just made sense. I like and launched the Game Pass like late in the life cycle of the thing. I loved I thought it was by the end of its life, it was phenomenal. It's like the PlayStation 3. By the end of the PlayStation 3 got to its sort of like twilight, it had turned everything around completely and was actually a phenomenal console by the time they did all the revisions and everything. Like so
yeah, I mean, I think that to me, like that's what puts the most like clarity on it is that the Series S and the Series X launching as two distinct consoles within the same generation line. You knew what they were. You knew what the differences between them were, or at least relatively well enough. Series S good, Series X more good, and that like that was enough. It's just so crazy to think that how long ago the one was. For one thing,
it's insane. Let me. I'm going to read a couple of bullet points here from the one when they initially debuted it. They had that licensing thing for the games, right? All games, even the ones you purchase retail or digitally, you're bound to your Xbox Live
That's
account.
right. And you had the Xbox had to check in.
Yeah, you had to check in every 24 hours. Unless you had the disc. Yeah,
it was a big fucking deal to be always online, even like at the time.
Yeah.
Like, now. It's whatever, like it's not a big deal. Like
now my Xbox, I just got a Series X. It's online all the time. I mean, it
really
is.
Right
it's like,
now.
oh crap, it's not gonna. Oh yeah, everything's online. The Switch, in order to play any of the retro Switch Online stuff, it has to connect online once every 2 or 3 days or something.
If you have 2 Switches,
Oh God, forget that. You don't want.
If you have 2 Switches and 1 account, the one that's not primary has to check in before you boot up any one game that you've purchased. Like it's like, well, there you go.
So one thing that's interesting to me is how much of a difference Phil Spencer made in the direction of some of those things, because Phil Spencer's been at Microsoft for a long time. I forget exactly how long. I'm just quickly browsing his Wikipedia page so that I can sound informed. So he was general manager of Microsoft Game Studios EMEA. And that, I mean, he's been there a long time. That was in 2008. And so in 2014, he was made the lead for Xbox Live, Groove Music, movies. Oh my God, Groove Music,
baby!
Holy shit! And movies and TV teams and Microsoft Studios as a part of the Windows and Devices division. So what that means, in essence, is that he had absolutely nothing to do with anything for the Xbox One, because by then the Xbox One had just launched.
Yeah.
And there's no way that the person who just became head of Xbox and Xbox Live got to say a goddamn thing about the console that just launched, and it had probably been in development for however many years and months.
He did an incredible job at putting out the fire.
Yeah, I mean, think about like basically every positive thing that we associate with what the Xbox One and now the Xbox Series and Series S and X are happened after Phil Spencer came to be on a prominent leadership position at Microsoft. I don't think that many people thought otherwise, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy to kind of like see the timeline work. It's like, oh, was he brought in because of how things went? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Series S and Series X had a much clearer vision at the time of its release and announcement.
I was at a retro game store over the weekend, and I was looking through the Xbox 360 stuff, and just to remember, I totally forgot up until like it just started jogging the memory stuff. It's like, oh yeah, it did launch with 2 SKUs, didn't it? Like the what? Because you just see like there's 2 different types of hard drives on the shelves. There's memory cards. Like they were still using memory cards. And you're just like, oh, that's right. You could buy an Xbox without any storage space on it. Like it's ridiculous to think about that, and like proprietary hard drives. Now we're kind of back to the like. It's not a proprietary hard drive or proprietary memory card shit, but
Or kind of pseudo full circle. I mean, the Xbox Series X or S require, if you want to expand the memory on that thing, buy your special SSD that plugs into a proprietary memory slot on the back.
I love the graphic for that, where it like creates a like completed circle, like you're daisy chaining and everything. It's the goofiest sort of. But at least the PlayStation 5, you can just put, an SSD in there. Sure, it's going to take you the better part of a weekend, and you may destroy your system in the process. But I hope the soldering iron gets hot enough for you.
Let's see other news bites. Again, nice light week, but there are a couple little things here and there. A lot of delays this week, by the way. Like all the delays are being announced. Stalker 2. There was another one that just announced today. So I hope you like game delays. Hitman, the Hitman collection is coming to PC. The whole trilogy, Hitman 1, 2, and 3, is being released next week.
And Game Pass.
And Game Pass. Yep.
I mean, awesome. It's funny because the reason they're only giving. They're just giving you 1 and 2, so you can just shove it into 3 and just get on with it.
I will say, as somebody, I've never played a Hitman game, so I'll probably hop in.
It's definitely one of my favorite, like modern day. Like I was never a huge Hitman fan, but the way they refined this whole situation really did. The original Hitman was such a big deal for me. Because of the way they released it episodically, like they actually did it right and did it in a way that felt good because the levels are infinitely replayable. and they didn't really put a whole lot of time between the
Oh,
release.
that's right. They did do that one episodically. You're right.
So you would just play the hell out of Sapienza, and by the time the next one's out, like you've leveled up your character, you've leveled up your Agent 47, and you're ready to kind of go on. You have a feel for the game, and then like here's the new level, and we've kind of changed things up on this one or whatever. And it was a really well done episodic game. Like I was impressed with how it turned out. You know, obviously that's not the best business model for a video game. So by the time episode 2 or Hitman 2 came out, it was just, oh, here's the full game.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of episodic stuff just kind of like went away.
Yeah. It was the future of video games. You're just not ready for it yet. But yeah, no, there's no Half-Life gave up on it. Everyone gave up on it.
Let's see here. Bunch of I don't know, there's a bunch of Switch rumors. There's a bunch of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
No, we did have a good conversation in the Discord about the what's it called? Sorry, I'm just trying to scratch here. PlayStation and how it's Sony's got this really weird sale. They're just kind of bombing in Japan, and not bombing, but they're definitely not up to snuff.
I mean, before we get too ingrained in that conversation, just because, especially because we're talking about the discontinuation of Xbox One, which happened in 2020.
Yeah,
by the way, that was part of the story. Was that it's like, hey, they weren't produced at all in 2021. That was fully over.
Yeah.
When the Series X came out, it stopped.
It makes sense.
That was it.
Even before then,
it makes sense because I was looking for a 1S a couple of months ago, just as a 4K player for somebody, and I'm like, boy,
these are getting kind of hard to find.
Right? Yeah, the prices are going up a little bit. They're getting hard to find. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I still remember when I got mine for about $200.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was the price, man.
It was so good.
But Facebook Marketplace, yeah.
But the news out of Sony is that they are spinning back up the factory lines for PlayStation 4 to ease some demands, or maybe take advantage of demand for an easy to produce SKU.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount. I believe that the numbers that were reported that they're going to plan on producing about a million.
A million.
But when you consider, I mean, it's what they've sold. How many PlayStation 5 so far?
16 million.
I mean, a million's not that big, all things considered. But it's 16 million over the course of how many years has it been? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just a very funny thing to think about when an Xbox comes off their announcement that we haven't produced our last gen console in 2 years, and Sony's like, oh yeah, we're actually going to start back up our production of our last gen console.
Sorry, it had sold 13.8 million through the end of October, the PS5, which it means it had officially surpassed the Wii U, which is 13.5 million.
I don't know how anybody could consider outselling the Wii U a metric of any value or import, but I'll let them have whatever they want. I mean, so it's been 2 years, and I mean, that's not a bad sell-through. I mean, which is so funny to think about. Obviously, scalpers are included in those numbers because we're just talking about PlayStation 5s that get off the shelf. They don't care whether or not that's to end consumer or if it's to an intermediary. Right. But I mean, we're talking about 8 million units, or somewhere between 6 and 8 million units a year, and that's not a small number.
No, it's a good number.
Obviously, they wish it was Switch numbers, but
to be honest, that's most of that is 1 year. Right, because it started.
Yeah, that's true. Because it was November. November. So we're talking about almost all 2021.
Yeah.
So that's a good number. It's a good number for a scarce. Hard to find console.
It's so hard to put some of these things in perspective because 2020 was such a lost year.
Yeah.
that
a long
like
year too. Yeah.
yeah, it was a long lost year, and 2021 became a part of it. And I don't know
It
what
was just the
remember
more
anymore.
of 2020. It was just
Yeah.
the
It really
epilogue.
was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it came out in 2020. I don't know, it's 8 years ago.
Yeah. Who knows how long ago it was?
Time is a
But
flat circle, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
but yeah, I mean Dali, going back to where you were going with it, the numbers coming out of Japan for those sales numbers are low,
Yeah.
like really
Life-
low.
Lifetime sales. So here are the numbers that we're talking about. It was our good friends at Gematsu posted the Famitsu numbers. The PS5 is averaging like between 8,000 and 9,000 a week, and then it's surpassed I think 1.077. So a little over 1 million units have been sold in Japan over the last year plus. The Switch OLED, which arrived in October, so 2 months ago, something like that. So it'd been on the market for 2.5, 3 months. Already has almost 1 million units sold.
Yeah, it's sold 944,000 units.
944,000 units.
And yeah, I mean we're talking about a Sony console.
Yeah.
And
I think part of that has to be that Sony's games have become much more Western focused. Right? God of War, Death Stranding, Last of Us. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but they're definitely catering towards.
It's great for us.
Like, it's great for us.
We're the
and they're
West.
kind of relying on third parties like Atlas with the Persona games, Persona 6 rumors popping up all of a sudden, to prop up the PS5 sales. But when the third parties see, the Switch numbers doing gangbusters, you're not getting as many third party games going to the Sony platform as you did in years past. I think it's how expensive it is a part of it. How big the device is a part of it, because there is a cultural, there's a space issue in Japan, but there's also this idea of giant TVs don't sell in Japan. I've actually looked at sales numbers for that stuff for work, and so space is a premium, and so you kind of
I would guess that the average like large TV in Japan is probably like under 50 inches.
Yep.
I mean, it's just like many things are much smaller. Just because like it's so metropolitan in so many places, and the density of housing there is just astronomically higher and very different than.
And you know what's small? A Nintendo Switch.
That is.
And Nintendo, it's a great point, because Nintendo's main competitor is obviously not PlayStation or Microsoft or PC in Japan. It's mobile phones, and so they have to be in that market. They have to be mobile, so people can take it with them, because people take their stuff like that. The mobile phones everywhere, and Game Pass, I'm sure it's being used, but it's probably not as big yet. But it could get there. I think
I would love for Microsoft to release the numbers on that.
Yeah, it's really funny, because you see, as a person that watches VTubers, like to see like Games Pass pop up, like when something new on Games Pass pops up, and like it's like they're like doing a stream in Japan based on like new releases on Game Pass or whatever. Like there's a weird that's going to create a bump. Hololive is a massive talent agency that gets like games eyeballs on it. Like Arc numbers shot up when they started playing Arc on a regular basis.
I mean, honestly, Hololive is going to do they play so many Western oriented games because they are a cross section of trends and fads that happen with other online streamers. Even though Hololive is kind of its own niche within that spectrum, but they still attach onto those trends and the kind of happenings with other live streaming, and a lot of that stuff is Western focused. I mean, if Hololive had been popular when it came out, like, you think that Hololive wouldn't have been playing Among Us? No, I mean, they played it afterwards, even though it was not quote unquote dated by that point. They still went back and played. That was one of the first things that they did. So
Yeah.
one of the things I find interesting though is like looking at the Famitsu numbers is that, you look at the lifetime sales of the PS4 in Japan, 7.8 million.
Yeah.
Across the lifespan, I mean, it's been 8 years going, or 9 years, eight going on 9. And that's not that many over the lifespan of a PS4 or of a PlayStation console.
Because they've been trending so far away from the home console in Japan for a while now. Like, it's just like phones, PCs are huge just because like the certain genres that are hot in Japan right now, like visual novels and things are so massive in Japan, and it's starting to gain traction here.
And guess what? I mean, I would love to know some. I mean, again, this is probably one of those things that is like impossible to quantify. But because of mobile phones, prevalence of gachas, and similar games, what you can do on really low end computers is load up BlueStacks and emulate a lot of those games. So that would probably appeal to a lot of gamers there.
The Switch is popular just because it's a mobile phone. I mean, it's the same concept. It's just a little portable little thing that they can just kind of plop around.
That's why Steam Deck is going to get there. It's going to blow up in Japan.
But you know what? You know what actually could be really interesting, and I don't know if this is even still being manufactured, but for Microsoft would be great. Would be they had the Surface Duo. Remember, it was that kind of 2-screen little phone tablet device. That's perfect for reading and doing that kind of stuff. Imagine something like that. It's portable, it's mobile, it's a phone, it's a tablet. You get all your visual novels on there. You have Game Pass on there. That could be something that,
it'd be like
could be a little bit better sell. I mean, it would probably sell a lot more than an Xbox console.
Like that PlayStation phone that was around for like a hot minute.
Exactly. And I think that's the other aspect. Sony doesn't know where to go. They had this giant console that's too big, even for American, homes.
I have a 70-inch TV and it still looks out of place. Like,
it's as a designer, it's still ugly, man. It doesn't need to be what it is. It doesn't need to be that.
I love it from the perspective of that it is absolutely hideous. It looks like some sort of like art installation piece. I love that sort of like it's not even like when you go back and I have a shit ton of old consoles and you can tell exactly by looking at them what year they came out. Like half of my stuff has wood grain on it. That's the 70s or early 80s, and then it's like they kind of turned beige or like jet black.
That's the 80s and 90s.
And it's like the PS5 is nothing. It doesn't follow any sort of modern day aesthetics. It doesn't hold any retro aesthetics. It's its own fucking thing that doesn't conform to anything, and it's just I love it. That somebody went insane designing this thing, had a hell of a time doing it. Just their madness sculpted in plastic out there.
Look at
if you take the plates off of it, it's just a black weird shit, like
black
oval. Like it's just this weird thing.
That it goes back to what you look at the launch of this latest generation. Microsoft really positioned the Series S and the Series X to be different devices. In fact, you might want to own both. If you have a Series X, in kind of your main room, and the Series S could be in a kid's room or in a guest room or something. So you do have these two devices that are different enough, but still serve 4K or whatever. They still up-res. They still get,
I love how aesthetically different they made them too.
And that's what I was getting to. Aesthetically different. And I think that's the right way to go, because you look at what the PS5 does, and you can't tell the digital version from the regular version unless you see the slit for the Blu-ray next to it. And I think that is actually the wrong way, because all they did was sell a version for $50 cheaper, whatever it was. It didn't have the little slot in there, but it's the same device. But then Microsoft really told you, again, they bookended it. They were smart with the Xbox One S and the X. I think they kind of learned their lesson there. They said, here are your two devices. They serve completely different markets. You know, the S is going to be for the college kid, maybe for the dorm room. Doesn't have a lot of space. This thing could fit in there. The X is if you've got a hotshot stereo system at home and all the whiz bang stuff and the high end TV. The PS5 is not that. The PS5 is, we're going to throw everything in this sucker, and you're going to pay an arm and a leg.
Pay for it.
You're going to pay
exactly.
For it. And weirdly, maybe bringing the PS4 back is an admission that their digital only, that their structure, their pricing structure, development structure for the PS5 is not working from a, you can buy hardware and it could sell out because it's hot, but that's going to nosedive if there's nothing that actually fits in. Because
maybe
in Japan, it sort of is. When in 1 year, selling 1 million is great. PS4 sold 8 million. PS4 basically sold 1 million per year, right?
Yeah.
So the PS5 is tracking that same number, and it could take a hit, especially once the next Nintendo console comes out. Once they get their power level up to match the PS4 and Xbox One from 8 years ago.
I don't have much confidence in a Nintendo system getting
exactly.
that much of a boost.
Right. This is still Wii U level of hardware. So I think they're going about it wrong. And on top of that, what I wanted to get to was the PSVR 2 and how
bless their soul, man. They're committed to this for no real gain or reason.
There's and I wanted to get to, I think I mentioned it, the PSVR 1 sold less than 4.5% to PS4.
Yeah, its attach rate was virtually nothing. It was really hot that initial holiday season. It always is. You couldn't find them, and then it just bottomed out. It was not a good VR headset.
No,
it did not have. It had a fraction of the VR software that an Oculus had, and with not a lot of cross porting between the two platforms.
Yeah,
there was no.
It's difficult to develop for.
I enjoy VR games, as it is noted on this podcast. And I enjoyed PSVR was my first VR headset. That was
mine too.
Where I dove in on it, and I was like, "This is cool." But it stagnated.
Such a pain to set up.
It is. It stagnated immediately. It was a good year until I bought all of the VR stuff out the gate. That was good and high quality, and it was a good year until something else of any sort of note or importance came out. And I think they only had a couple of genuine exclusive interesting things. That Batman game was really fucking cool.
The Batman, but that was a launch title.
And then
Job Simulator launch title.
But that's it's better on Oculus, and I can just play Job Simulator. I can't play that Batman game on Oculus. It was a PS, and that Iron Man game was okay. That was their next big thing, and that's what they bundled it with up until its bitter end here. But everything else, Skyrim, I can get anywhere.
That's why I kind of think I mentioned in the Discord. The problem with that is it needs to be tethered to a PS5.
Yeah.
And you can't get a PS5. The install rate is really low. Not every PS5 owner is going to buy a PSVR because that thing's going to be with the tech in it. That thing is scoping for $300 plus.
You also just can't use, if you just buy a PSVR, you can't use it out of the box on your PS5.
Exactly. You will with the PSVR 2.
Yeah.
And I guess the PSVR 2 or whatever, I really think
Virtual Reality 2 is here.
Virtual Reality 2.
Finally. It's got taste this time.
It's got taste. that sucker should have just been a standalone device. And Sony should have said, here's where we're going to keep all our PlayStation VR games. You can actually play PS5 games and use this as sort of a screen that you mount to your head if you don't want, or stream to it or whatever. That I think would have been very viable.
I think the
Mm.
problem you would run into that is that there is no way to not make like a Virtual Boy comparison of a standalone
Right.
VR device, and I don't think anyone would even like.
Well, Oculus, the Oculus Quest. I mean, you
Yeah,
need
but
to
it
make
was
it a
always-
Quest competitor.
But
is
the
what I'm saying.
brand from
Yeah.
the get-go,
Correct.
the
Correct.
brand is a VR. When you add the PlayStation brand to
Yeah.
something out the gate, you expect a certain sort of something out of it, and just by itself, just
Yeah.
selling a PlayStation branded VR headset just feels like a toy. I mean,
Mhm.
granted, all video games,
Sure.
as we said earlier today,
Like the
all
PlayStation
video
TV,
games are
right?
toys, and we need to accept. Yeah, the PlayStation TV,
Which I'm
or-
staring at over there, which I
Yeah,
haven't turned on.
either version of the PlayStation TV, whether
it's
it be
true,
the
true.
actual TV or the
Oh, God,
Vita
yeah, that's
that
right.
plugged into your TV.
I had both of those, and I bought the actual 3D TV for $98
one-
at Best Buy. I think.
That had the one really cool fucking gimmick of being able to do multiplayer from
Yeah.
where each person sees a different image. That was cool.
Mhm,
But like
mhm.
it wasn't a buy a TV specifically for this
Correct,
cool.
correct.
That's like 2000s kind of thing. Or remember, like you would go into
Yeah.
GameStop or Funko or Babbage's or whatever. They had that TV that had like the doors on it that would open up, and it had the
Yeah.
speakers and shit. Like
That's
this,
it.
like,
The
let's sell a
console
gamer
style. Yeah.
specifically for gamers. They'll love this. Or I could just go to Kmart and get a Sylvania shitty HD
Sylvania. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's somebody's pet project. It feels
Yeah,
like
somebody-
there.
Somebody definitely is just in love with.
Unless they're really and Taylor, you replied to me when I mentioned, unless they really push some weird metaverse. This is our gaming. This is PlayStation Home 2 angle to this thing. But even that
What-
isn't
this-
what-
what's
not
weirdest
what any
to-
gamer wants.
What's weirdest to me about it is like how it doesn't like. I feel like Sony and PlayStation brand is usually pretty conservative overall.
Yeah.
I mean, they pulled out of the Vita pretty fast.
Yeah.
And
And the Vita was phenomenal. Like
and the Vita was great. I mean, like
Yeah.
there are a ton of things that they could have easily done
Yes. Yeah.
if they had, pivoted in a specific way with the Vita.
yeah.
That like they almost did in some cases
Yeah.
with
That was a
specifically targeting indie games. So I mean,
Yep.
so many. I mean,
That
we
was a
could always.
completely salvageable system for them, and they
Yes.
just didn't have it in them to do it.
And so I find it very interesting that not only they did a PSVR in the first place, but that they doubled down for a second one. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels like it's kind of a risk. It clearly costs a lot to make,
Yeah.
considering the price tag of it. And it's just kind of surprising that they went for another one.
And like the best PSVR game was Resident Evil 7. Like
Right.
that tells you anything. Like what?
True.
Like I want to know because Sony themselves did nothing for PSVR. The best stuff on PSVR was third party.
Mhm.
Sony didn't like. What did they personally do?
Didn't they have that like first person space shooter adventure
Yeah, and Astro
that had the
Boy.
gun or
Like,
had the big
it
gun
had-
that you had to buy?
It had that really good Astro Boy game, or Astrobot game. Not
Yeah, the
Astro Boy.
Astrobot game. It's
That's
true,
where that Astrobot game was really, really good. But like, they shoved some VR stuff into Gran
Yeah.
Turismo, but didn't like really do anything with it. It was just like
Well, the other
Time
racing game, the other
Trials,
car racing game,
Drive
the
Club.
Drive Club. Yeah, that made
Yeah.
people nauseous. Made me nauseous.
Yeah, that was they didn't. Yeah, and that was the problem with VR with PSVR 2 is that it was so low quality that there was no like. It's like the frame rate was bad.
Mhm.
It was jittery. It was blurry and gross.
Yeah.
Like like obviously they're gonna fix that because what did they said it was like 4K. How many hertz did they say it was like 120? Was that the deal
so.
with it? Because
Something.
like
Yeah, I don't remember.
because even like Oculus I think is just like 90. Like the Quest is like 90. It's like
Mhm.
it's like the 120 is like experimental feature. Like, so I don't know. Sony. I wish Sony would say they had something planned for it. Like it's cool that you're making a VR2, but like why? What is your game plan with it? Because
What exactly?
you didn't have a game plan the first time around. You just kind of hoped everyone else would do it for you, and it didn't work out. So you better have a AAA something in the works. Like, I don't know what that would be from Sony. What's a Sony like? It's like a Horizon game. Wasn't that something that popped up, like a Horizon VR game? Wasn't that?
Yeah, they had the Horizon VR game. Yep.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, like if like figure something like that out for a full featured something. No more 20-minute Batman Arkham VR stuff. Like, that's a great game, but again, you can beat it in like 25 minutes. Is it effectively Home 2? Is the metaverse your end game? Is there what is? But if the metaverse was their home game, was there like, end game for it, that would be the messaging for VR2. Like, we're going to go deep into this virtual world, and that, so be ready to jump aboard. But that's really not what their messaging is. Their messaging so far has been, it's got great screens, and you don't have to use those shitty controllers anymore that are like 2 generations old now. Like, those are PlayStation 3 controllers that they're making us use for the PSVR.
We're talking about the old Move.
Move controllers. Yeah, like it's like now they've actually got real fucking controllers for this thing.
They were PS3 early PS3 controllers.
They were because the Wii was popular. Yep. We need our own fucking motion controller now. It's like, those are early PS3 controllers, and they're still selling them. Like, they have to. They never improved upon them.
Did you have to use the PSI for VR?
Yes.
For the PS4, was it? Or for the
PS4, because there's no VR for the PS3. But you had to use the eye camera for
right.
For the PS3 there was a
camera to use.
There was a camera. There was the original PSI camera.
Right, but I'm saying, but for PSVR, in order to use you had to have the PSI camera set up
because it had the lights around the headset and on the controllers to keep track of you in a 3-dimensional space. That because that's where VR was when PSVR launched. Quest 2 just said, well, we can use that same concept but replace the lights with just fucking cameras, and we're good to go. So I hope they don't do that with PSVR 2. I hope they figured that part out, because nobody wants that was the biggest problem, right? Like, it needed a breaker box, it needed a camera, it needed like multiple USB or HDMI outputs for this thing to fucking work. And I lost track of, you lose one cable, you're done. Like, that was a mess. It was too, and I had an older version PSVR, one of the first release, because they re-released it with like the built-in headphones and a better.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I have the original one.
Yeah, and a better box. So if I plugged in my PS4 Pro, I couldn't use the HDR stuff.
Same. Because
the pass-through doesn't work. But if you had the new one, you could keep it plugged in all the time and still use the HDR stuff, which was just, you mean I have to unplug this thing every time I want to use HDR in a game for this console? The upgrade, the sort of point was to have the 4K HDR stuff. Cool. Thanks, guys. And there was no upgrade path. That's like, you couldn't say, Sony, can I get a new? No.
Nope.
Shit.
PSVR, man.
Yeah.
There it is.
Fucking mess.
Well, let's move on to happier things. Get out of the news completely. We've been talking for almost an hour about news. I think that's it. We don't have anything else.
I just want to talk about Kirby's 35th anniversary or whatever.
Maybe there's something coming. Who knows? Give me a pink Kirby Game & Watch. I'll be happy with that.
I've mentioned it earlier, but last year was Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary, and they did jack shit. Because
we gave you Mario games. What do you want?
Yeah, they gave us last year was Zelda's 35th anniversary, so it was much more important.
And we didn't exactly get much out of that either.
Nothing. I'm still waiting for that the 35th anniversary direct that everybody was saying was going to happen. Remember, it's going to happen in July, guys. Did not happen in July. Let's get into games we've been gaming. because I'm sure it's the new year. We got plenty of time right now that we're all
Oh,
back
yeah.
to work. We're all
Sure.
done with the holidays. So, who wants to go first and tell us about all the So before we do that, I was gonna have us spend some time talking about the games we're most excited about for 2022. So we can maybe touch on that real quick and then talk about the games we're playing, if you guys want.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's do
sure.
that. Let's do that.
Take the wheel. Tell us what you.
All
I don't
right.
even know what the fuck's even coming out.
Yeah,
in
I was trying to
2022
figure out
anymore.
what's coming out. I mean, you got the Elden Rings, you got the
Not-
Starfields.
No,
I'm not.
I'm more excited for Starfield than I am Elden Ring, but I'm not entirely convinced like Starfield is going to see release in 2022.
Yeah,
It's like
me
Breath
neither,
of the
actually.
Wild. It's like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the Zelda game's not
We have still seen nothing, right?
Right.
correct.
And that's the that's what I like. People are like, I'm so excited for Starfield, and I think, why? You don't know
Yeah.
you don't even know what it is. You,
You-
haven't seen
Like, I
anything.
just-
You've seen
It's the cyberpunk situation where it's like, well, the
Yeah.
studio doesn't let me down, so I should
Yeah,
be excited
right.
for it. And then it's like, well, that's when you get let down the hardest. But like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the idea of this studio making a hard sci-fi game. I guess like
Mhm.
that's kind of basically where it begins and ends.
I'm just worried that it's going to feel like Elder Scrolls in space, and I'm just going to be like, I don't want to
Yeah.
play this game.
yeah.
I guess-
I'm one of the few people that like I've
Yeah.
tried Elder Scrolls games and they just don't click with me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dig it.
What Horizon obviously is one of the big ones this year.
Horizon, that's coming up
Yeah.
next month. I'm actually
Yeah.
sort of looking forward to that because I'm going to get into the original Horizon game here. I think in the next once I polish off Guardians and Deathloop, I'm diving right into.
I'm thinking
that
about
game.
I'm thinking because I got like halfway through Horizon
Okay.
the first time around, and I'm like, do I jump back in or do I just buy it on PC and just play it from the beginning on a superior platform? So,
It is pretty good on PC.
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm probably just gonna.
I would throw that baby on a wish list and pick it up on sale.
Here you go.
I'll add it to my because I think the God of War game is just about to launch or just launched.
It's just launched, I believe,
Yeah,
like today.
Because I saw
like.
like reviews for it, and
Yeah.
everyone's fucking glowing about it. So,
Bayonetta 3 is one that I'm actually.
that's not coming out this year.
You don't think
We've
it's coming out
seen-
this year?
We've seen barely more of Bayonetta 3.
Which game? Oh,
Bayonetta
Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 3. I
Like,
think that'll be out this year. I think that'll be out this
I
year.
don't know, man.
I think it'll probably come out this year.
Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
It took so long. From trailer to trailer was like 2 or 3 years for Bayonetta 3. Like, and
You know,
Speaking of Bayonetta 3, I just saw that there was news that broke today that the Platinum Games changed their CEO.
It's like, get out of here.
Former vice president took over. Interesting. Anyway, I just
Nice.
since we're talking about whether or not Bayonetta 3 could
We wanna
possibly
have
get
more
delayed.
games besides retro shooters that we have. Soul Crest,
Yeah.
the baby.
Uh,
No, I think I actually do think Bayonetta 3 will come out because they did mention that that they've had a trailer, they've had information ready, and they've been sitting on it, but Nintendo has not wanted to. I kind of believe them in that case. I do think Nintendo has sort of pushed Bayonetta 3 until 2022 because they wanted to get a lineup for this year. But I'm looking forward to that.
I Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2 are just I love those games so much, and I will definitely play Bayonetta 3 no matter when it comes out. It's definitely going to be on my Switch day one.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I just love that kind of bullshit. That Devil May Cry kind
Yes,
of fucking bullshit.
yeah.
It's always good. It's always fun.
I was going to mention Curse to Golf. That was
Yes.
that rogue.
Oh, yeah.
golfing game. I'm looking forward to that.
I played that at PAX. That's a game definitely.
Yeah,
to look forward
man, you
to.
lucked out.
Pokemon Legends comes out like next week or whatever. That's
Yeah, a couple weeks from now.
yeah.
I'll get into that a little bit during the games we're playing
Hey,
because I got something to talk about there.
it's only 1 week away from Game of the Year 2022.
Yeah, it's true.
Windjammers 2 comes out next
Windjammers
Thursday.
2, man. When is that coming out?
January 20th.
Never.
So next week. Wow.
Next week. You saw the tweet. I sent you.
I saw the tweet.
earlier.
I saw you. You
You
pinged
said-
me with it for sure. Yeah.
God of War. I mean, theoretically comes out this year, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I'll play more God of War for sure.
God of War looks good. That Ghostwire Tokyo game. Kind of interested a little bit in that. Just maybe I'm more curious to see what that actually ends up being. That was that Bethesda game.
Yeah.
The last Bethesda game ever on a PlayStation platform.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the kind of game I want to see. Like, I want to see like a 5 minutes of solid gameplay.
Exactly. Is it SMT 5-ish or what?
Yeah. I cannot. I barely can hazard a guess.
Yeah. Kirby.
Very excited. I always like a good Kirby game. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Kirby game, even if it's one of those things you're like, $60 though.
Again, it's one of those things where like, what are you gonna do? Wait for a Kirby game to go on sale? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you just got to commit to it.
Yeah. Yep.
I know me and Sam are both all in on Gran Turismo 7. So
me too. I'm looking forward to that. That's coming out. That's in March, I think. Or
yes, March.
That's crazy.
March.
Sony is really front loading this year with some real bangers. You got that. You got Forspoken and Horizon.
I'm looking forward to Forspoken. If I want that to be good, I don't know if it will be, but
it kind of reminds me of that original Unreal 5 tech demo. Remember that from last year before, whenever that was. Hey, here's one that's specific for you, JJ.
Yeah.
Metal Slug Tactics.
Yes. I'm going to. Listen. I'm going to say one thing. I hate being the SNK guy in a sense because I know that the company that is SNK is not particularly best. It's owned by a Saudi Arabian prince at this point, but not the best look to be a big fan of SNK. But I am playing. You just sent me an SNK game. I just started playing it before we started the thing of the Neo Geo Pocket Color release of the Card Battlers game. It's got both of them on there, so I'm very excited to dive. That's one of the best Neo Geo Pocket games ever. So, hell yeah! But yes, I'm going to review the hell out of the
for sure
Card Tactics game.
There's Redfall, I think, is coming out from Bethesda. That's fine. Splatoon 3. That's high on my list. I'm a huge Splatoon fan. Our house is a Splatoon house, and so we've played hundreds of hours of Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 on Switch, and I think we got total. My daughter and I have something like 400 plus hours in Splatoon 2 because we play a lot of it online, and it's good. So Splatoon 3, that'll be. I'm guessing that'll be summer that we're getting that one.
Yeah, and got Mario and Rabbids sequel.
Oh yeah, that Mario. Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that. It looks real good.
I know. I'm excited for the what's the Firaxis Marvel game, Midnight Suns.
Oh yeah, Midnight Suns.
Yeah. I'll definitely play.
No, but Shredder's Revenge, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Oh, that's a given.
That's a given.
Yeah, that's not. What about that Final Fantasy Origin? Huh?
That's right, Final Fantasy Origin. Yeah.
I'm excited.
What were you gonna say, Taylor?
I don't know. I just feel like an old bitter man because like half the games just like
What about Advanced Wars 1 and 2 package?
I honestly I was extremely unimpressed by the way that they looked when they debuted those games.
They look bad.
They looked very bland. I mean, like, how are you going to take you're giving an opportunity to these games
which is funny too because it is Way Forward and they're really good with retro visuals and it makes you it's definitely this is what Nintendo wants, not what Way Forward wants. Clearly,
I don't know. I looked at those games and I was like, this looks like the kind of thing that the dude who Nintendo sends the cease and desist to because they were ripping off Advance Wars. This looks like what they make. Not I don't know. It's just like things were just like very like blah.
I know. What was the Little Devil Inside? I'm excited.
Yeah, Little Devil Inside.
Yes, for the past 8 years, it has looked very interesting.
He's still inside.
We finally just get that fucking game.
Tunic as well. Tunic is one of those games that's been taken forever. We've been seeing it for like 10 years now. And I think that's finally supposed to launch this year.
We're theoretically supposed to get that Dead Space whatever remake / reboot.
I don't think that'll be this year.
I don't think it will be either.
But Triangle Strategies this year.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm looking forward to Triangle
I would-
Strategy. No longer
Got
Project.
so many games I'm gonna wait for reviews of.
Yeah.
We're gonna be real lucky when Dally picks it up like 6 months after it came out and plays it for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year,
Get ready for all of 2022 as I'm talking about. You got Stray. Stray is that cool kind of neon futuristic post whatever the cyberpunk cat game with
I know I'm excited for the new King of Fighters game because there's always a new King of Fighters game, and that new Ollie Ollie game that comes out next month. Ollie Ollie World.
That looks,
I love those Ollie Ollie games.
I don't like those Ollie Ollie games.
I love them. I love that.
I fucking hate the controls, but Ollie Ollie World, because I'm really bad at it. It's true, but Ollie Ollie World really does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights. One of those is going to be delayed because you can't have both those games that come out this year.
And I'm only. Which one is the Rocksteady one? I always forget. Suicide Squad?
That's Suicide Squad, yeah.
That's the one I'm excited for then.
Yeah, I think that one's going to come out this year.
Because the Gotham Knights one is the Batman Arkham Origins team, right?
The Montreal team, yep. The only way that both of those come out this year is if one releases Q1 and one releases Q4 because they're too close together.
It's funny how Marvel is really good at sort of lining up. Like Disney is able to do a really good job at making all the Marvel stuff sort of line up really well, and then Warner Brothers is just like, we've got a Suicide Squad game. Oh, so it's going to come out around the time of the Suicide Squad? No, like 2 years.
No, it's going to come out whenever the fuck.
Yeah. Yep. Like at least the Gotham Knights game has an opportunity because there has been some that stuff kicking around for a while of some sort of standalone.
So it'll come out when the new Batman movie comes out, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a few. Again, I'm not confident Starfield's going to come out because I have no freaking idea what it's going to be. I mean, Sonic is coming out. Maybe I don't know.
Elden Ring.
I guess. I'm not super hyped on Elden Ring yet. You're gonna have to.
What about that Avatar mobile game that?
That's the game.
Massive multiplayer, mobile first-person shooter. God.
Yeah, Oxenfree 2 coming out this year. I didn't really play the first one all that much.
You want to know? You want to know a really dumb one that is supposed to come out this year that I kind of want is Dragon Quest X offline version.
So that's coming Japan, right? This summer. It got delayed to this summer, but bring it to the US. I do.
Please.
I do. I mean, at the very least, I'll end up. I could buy the Japanese version and just use my phone's translator to translate the text live, which I've done before. So
I do. Dragon Quest has become much bigger here than it's ever been. So
thankfully, but they're stagnating on getting the good shit. They still have not put out the Dragon Quest Heroes, the Warriors games that were on Switch in Japan. They never brought them to the US, and they could have brought those out and made a little bit of cash. And kept things going because there hasn't really been a Dragon Quest game. They totally missed out on Dragon Quest X just in general, the online game, which could have kept a small amount of fans, maybe 1.5 million, whatever. But I hopefully.
It's funny, those games popped up on 9, and the Builders games popped up on Games Pass. This is them dipping their toes and is the Xbox a viable platform for the Dragon Quest franchise?
Give me Rocket Slime 2, baby. I want Rocket Slime 2.
God, those games were good. That Rocket Slime game was so good on the DS.
It was awesome.
Man.
I think I'm gonna play it again. I think I'm gonna play it again.
That's a good call. I think I should play that again too.
So there we go. And Steam Deck. I will have I got an updated order availability that I will post in our private chat here for myself.
Oh.
It says,
"Ooh, look at you.
Q1 2022." So between now and March, I have to convince myself or figure out a way to save up some cash to buy this thing.
And we still have the Amico to look forward to.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's not going to launch.
No.
I don't think it's going to launch.
Tommy Tallarico is very disappointed in you for thinking that.
I think it's interesting. The Steam, well, just on the Steam Deck, real quick. There's not that many competitors in kind of the handheld PC form factor market,
Yeah.
but the Aya Neo is one of them. If you're familiar with it, the Aya Neo launched last year, I think. And that was based on launched in March. It was built on 7 nanometer tech as far as the size of the chipset, using a Ryzen APU. So you can see like a lot of the similarities come in. The difference is that the Aya Neo was $900.
Oh wow.
$925.
I see it. Yeah, the Aya Neo.
It's slightly underpowered compared to the Steam Deck. They just announced that they're making the Aya Neo Next, or the Aya Neo Next Advanced, or something like that. And that is going to be even more. So the Steam Deck, when we talk about it, it's like, it's kind of expensive, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, do not underestimate how much cost Valve is eating. That was part of the interview process from Gabe Newell during the press tour on it. I think he might have even still underselling how much cost Valve is eating on these devices.
Yeah.
So I guess
trying to get Steam in more people's hands.
So I guess 2 questions for 2022 I have. One of them's for you, Dally, and one of them's for the group. First one for you, Dally. What miniaturized game console do you think we get this year? Because we talk about that shit all that time.
Yeah, as much as I'd love a Game Boy. I'd love a Game Boy. We're never getting an N64.
And I'm not limiting it to
Nintendo or anything. Yeah. No, I do think we're going to get another Game & Watch. I think Nintendo is going to go all in on the yearly Game & Watch stuff, which is just a great little package.
It's a great little Christmas gift. Like, it's a stocking
really
stuffer. Yeah, they made sure that the package is small enough to like really be like, this is you put it in someone's stocking. It's like it has stuff that you recognize. It's a smart little thing. And it's very funny to see what they learned from the Mario one to the Zelda one, like all the little minor things that they did, like turning the box into a display stand,
having a backlight on
having the Triforce glow on the back of the thing, and like the clock is a little more advanced and does some more stuff.
It's funny because I thought when the NES Mini came out, I thought this is awesome because you're getting a bunch of NES games, and the Super NES Mini was natural. The N64 Mini, there aren't a lot of N64. You're going to have maybe 10 games, maybe
there's not enough. I don't think there's enough games, and I also don't trust their ability to emulate it.
Yeah,
no, I don't either.
I mean, like,
they look like shit, those games, by the way. Let's just be frank. They look like
crap. A person that like does a lot of emulation, and like even like professional, like not professional, like the modern emulation has a lot of problems running N64 shit. So like I barely trust Nintendo to like handle that as it is.
I mean,
Nintendo Switch Online.
We learned not to trust Sony either because their PlayStation Mini was junk.
True.
I would I'd love to see. I think Game & Watch is it because again, after those first 2 launches, I thought, well, what can they do? Can they make a Mario console that's like shaped like a Mario hat that has like a ton of Mario games in there from the NES, Super NES, N64? Whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But I then realized the Game & Watch is just a perfect factor. The Mario console is the handheld Game & Watch.
Yeah.
The Zelda console that has some of the best Zelda games is the Zelda Game & Watch, and I think. Just give me more of those. Give me one a year. I'm fine with it.
I think the problem you're going to run into, because you were talking about like doing a Kirby one, is that Nintendo seems to be focused on the lower bit. Like they're going to do NES and Game Boy.
Yeah.
And most of the Kirby stuff, like there's one
Super.
NES game and there's like a couple of Game Boy games. And they're mostly Super Nintendo stuff with the Golf and Dreamland 3 and all that stuff.
But I think that's what you'll get. I think that's
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility of like them doing like a Pokemon one. Like
sure. Yeah.
like with the Game
true.
Boy games, like, you know,
Yeah.
just a simple, this has red and blue on it. Like
Mhm.
they would charge the same amount with only having less content on it, because that's just, because remember like when the Game Boy games came out on the 3DS, like they were like typical Game Boy games were like, you know, $4 or $5, and then like Pokemon Yellow is $10. It's like, okay, Nintendo, they know.
I mean, I could easily see them in that case. I could see them dropping a Pikachu Yellow Pokemon Game and Watch that has red and blue and
But I also
gold and silver.
Yeah, I also wonder if they are basing them off of like internally, because like there was like Super Mario Brothers like LCD game and like a Legend of Zelda Game and Watch game. I wonder if and they look similar. Like the Zelda one is kind of similar in form and like design of that actual Game and Watch. And I wonder if that's like internally, it's like, no, it has to be a pre-existing Game and Watch property, which is why I said Donkey Kong earlier.
Sure.
That one makes the most sense because there are at least 3 NES Donkey Kong games and 1 really good Game Boy game. So,
and there are actually a bunch of Donkey Kong Game and Watch games, by the way.
Yeah. So I could see one with the with an arcade version with all the levels of Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong 93. Like that.
So there's actually an idea right there.
Yeah.
A Game and Watch that has the majority of the Game and Watch games in it. Like that could actually be kind of cool because you cannot access those. I mean, they're silly black and white LCD games, but you could throw some types of history things. Anyways, that's what I think we're gonna get a Kirby one. I think we'll get a Kirby one, but a Pokemon could definitely happen.
I just keep trying to think of like retro like game systems that aren't, because like there's
Game and Watch. I think Game and Watch is it.
Yeah. There's an Amiga coming out this year. Like that's that's the guarantee one. So I wonder if there's going to be anything else. Like, does Sega take another shot at another one? Like they did one, do they do another one? Like with like some like
does Nintendo partner with Konami and Capcom and release like, here's the 3 Castlevania games that were on NES, or here's Mega Man 1 through 6 or whatever was on the NES. I mean, you could see that.
Please just give me Symphony of the Night on the Switch now. Like you put out like those packages, like those like the collections, and they're all top sellers. But you're not going to give me Symphony of the Night on the Switch.
They got to be saving it for something.
Are you kidding me? With the hit anime, maybe they launch it with the spin-off series.
Oh, there you go. So what was your question for the group?
Do you think there's going to be any sort of like long bomb, like something that we forgot about that they're going to re-announce, or like some long dead franchise?
The Phantom console is coming back.
It came like you remember the Phantom Lapboard?
Now it's back.
Apple.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yeah, because I was just trying to think about it earlier. It's like it's like, is there anything that is like when they like all of a sudden like pull out, like when they re-announce, like Bethesda re-announced, like, oh, we're doing Doom. Like here's a brand new Doom in like 2015 announced. Like, is there something that you feel like hasn't been seen in a while that might just like rear its head in some way?
I could see Microsoft. I mean, remember there were the rumors that we were getting a Chrono Cross remake, right? That sure sounded like it ended up happening at the Game Awards. I think I could see Microsoft bring a Fable. I mean, they already mentioned there's a new Fable game coming, but I could see them showcasing that this year. I can also see Perfect Dark making a comeback, because I do kind of feel like Microsoft needs a strong female-led game, with that has, Cameo was a one and done, but Perfect Dark has the history, and of course there's the GoldenEye. It's going to be popping up supposedly on Xbox pretty soon here.
What was that? Because what was that? Because it was that list. It was that list that you posted earlier, when there was somebody that Zach posted in the Discord, that had a Klonoa revival.
That's been rumored for a while.
For so long. Yeah. Like, well, it's not so much. It's been rumored like for a new one in some way, shape, or form. But this is the first time where it really felt like it was like when they talk about it, like in this rumor, where it's like a revive, like oh, it's gonna be a straight remake of it. Because it's a really good game that is like inaccessible to anyone that's not just like going to be downloading emulators and ROMs and stuff, because and it's getting, and the market's pricing it out of people just being able to just kind of buy it on a whim now too. So it would be nice to have Klonoa like return this year in some sort of meaningful way. That list also said Rogue Squadron 4, which is absolutely asinine. I don't care what it
was. There Rogue Squadron 3?
Yeah. It was Rebel Strike. It was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
On GameCube. And
I mean, there's a Rogue Squadron movie coming, right?
Sounds like that was canceled.
Was it? Okay.
Pretty much anything that was announced Star Wars has sort of been shifted and moved and canceled.
Got it.
So like the Boba Fett thing existing is kind of a minor miracle, like at this point. Like, so I don't know who makes a Rogue Squadron. Like, it's EA, obviously.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a Criterion game? If it was Criterion's Rogue Squadron 4, maybe, because they did a lot of work on the spaceship stuff, and they had that VR Star Wars thing for Battlefront.
Were Rogue Squadron games primarily single player?
Yes.
Okay.
They were story driven games. Like there was, I think there was co-op stuff, but I never played those 2-player if there was. Factor 5 has been long dead at this point. Thanks, Lair. But
okay.
Yeah, that's all. I was just curious if anyone had anything on the back of their brain that was like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to see Half-Life 3 this year.
I do want to mention, just to kind of get into some of the games that we've been playing, because I want to kind of polish off the show with whatever we've been doing. And I'm going to hop in first because both of my games are related to 2 upcoming games. One, I finally finished off kind of the overall main stuff and some of the post-game stuff of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. And I'm getting in a big meh. It's
just okay.
It just functions. I did not. I mean, visually, it is what it is. I didn't, whatever. It looked like an old Pokemon game, and it felt like an old Pokemon game. It sure as hell plays like an old Pokemon game.
I think that's my biggest problem with it. Like, I still enjoy this sort of core Pokemon experience for the most part, but this one feels like they didn't do anything.
And I think that's why I liked Sword and Shield. I liked Sword because Sword. Even Let's Go to a point. Let's Go felt like a proper, I don't want to say remake, but like a reimagining of the original Pokemon games for new kids. My daughter loved it, and
I liked Let's Go a lot just because I kind of like the idea of low impact Pokemon. It was kind of cute. It looked It was actually a pretty good looking game.
It looked good, yeah.
Like Sword and Shield is a very ugly game.
But I liked it because I
liked that game. Yeah,
I loved just the wild area is really kind of cool just to walk around and actually see Pokemon outside. There's lots of them. We'll see what happens with Arceus because it still
stays very funny when a Pokemon just bum rushes you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of cool.
It is very. It's always awkward to go back. Like you had Sword and Shield, and then it's not even reverting back a generation, like if it was like an X and Y remake or something, it like reverted back to a Game Boy Advance era of these things, and it feels like it's slow. It feels like you're moving at a snail's pace throughout the game, and like the battles feel so protracted in it. Like it doesn't feel like there's any sort of like expediency with any of the battle design for it. Like it's like Sword and Shield felt fast. I like Sword and Shield a lot in terms of gameplay wise, but this one was just rough. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't like it either. Like it's just fine. I've played this game before to its completion, and it felt like I just played through the original version again.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's totally what it feels like. And then I've been playing Kirby Star Allies because I'm getting kind of ready for the new Kirby game, and I figured I'm gonna play the original Kirby game on the Switch. And Kirby games are very easy games. They're really like 5 hours, play through it, and just do a fun little mechanic for how to swallow a dude with a sword. You get a sword. I mean,
I like that they use Kirby sometimes as like the foundation for like some weird shit. Because like the best Kirby games are the non-platformer Kirby games.
True.
Really, like the golf game is really good. I like the Super Nintendo one, Kirby Superstar was really good because it's like just a bunch of shit. Canvas Curse was fucking great.
And by the way, Rainbow Curse, I'm surprised they have not brought Rainbow Curse to the Switch yet. That was the Canvas Curse remake. But it looks good. It's really bright. It's poppy. It's really simple, and it's. I would like to see like the Kirby's Dream Yarn, like a follow up to that. That was a fun, relaxing. Epic Yarn.
Yeah.
That came out on the 3DS, I think, didn't it? They launched that.
No, I think that was the.
No, it was on Wii.
It was on Wii. The Yoshi
but
game
then they
got a 3DS one. I don't remember.
No, so did Epic Yarn.
Epic
Yarn
also
came.
One? Yeah, because I remember there was definitely the woolly. Because I got the 3DS one that came with the dog amiibo.
There you go, Kirby's Epic Yarn for 3DS. Yep.
Wow, I don't remember the 3DS version. Wow.
It's on sale right now for $40 on Nintendo's eShop. But anyways, so I figured I'm gonna play Kirby and just kind of remember what Kirby was. And it's exactly as I remember it. As a platformer, it is just easy as pie and just nice to look at. And I'm literally playing through it. By the way, it's loaded with a ton of extra shit to do. There's like a tree chopping game. There's like there's all kinds of stuff to do in there.
The true Kirby experience.
The true Kirby experience. But, just getting ready, curious to see what the next Kirby game is going to be. So I figured let me get into this game a little bit, and I'll probably have this one completed by this weekend. So that's it for me. Who wants to go next? Taylor, let's go with you.
Put in about 20 showers into Eastward. End of story.
Into what?
Eastward.
Oh, Eastward. I thought you said Eastward.
Eastward.
How is that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna come away quite as glowing as Zach was, but it's good. I see that there are upgrades that aren't in the game yet, and considering how long I've played it and how little, like, the story's moving forward, but considering how little has happened into the game itself and me playing it, I don't know if I want to get all the upgrades, because even with upgrades, I don't see how I play it changing very much in any particularly meaningful way. The upgrades, unless something bucks my expectations in a significant way, are just going to be like, all right, the thing that you had now does more of the thing that it did before. In which case I'm just like, all right, I'll just watch the visual novel of the story. Is kind of where I'm starting to lean. But it's definitely good. And it lays out, it has a mystery to it. I think it just probably ran into pacing issues from a storyboard perspective, but it's still good.
Excellent.
That's the only thing that I played. I covered my other big pushes during my game of the year, which were played Inscription, as well as God. Come back to me, my brain. Outer Wilds and the Outer Wilds DLC. Like I said, Outer Wilds is a must-play game for like.
Is it on Game Pass?
Yes.
It just got added, so
cool, even better.
If you went back 10 months ago, It was on console only.
Yeah.
And then it got pulled, and I felt like an idiot because I started it on console and I played for a little bit. It didn't click, and I gave up. And then I bought it, and now it's back on Game Pass in a full capacity. But whatever, that game deserves every sale that it gets because it's truly an amazing game. And I played Jackbox Party Pack for the new year. But that's it.
I just want to mention I've put in 30 plus.
Is Stanley a robot to everyone else or just
okay? Yeah, no,
okay.
Dally, you've roboted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but
No.
you sound like shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you I can still hear you. You just sound like a robot still. JJ, it's up to you.
AJ.
My turn to hey.
Oh, Dally, you're fixed.
Yeah, I had
Well,
to
no,
exit.
you're-
I was in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll just start talking. I started playing the Gunk.
Oh, I did play about 30 minutes of the Gunk
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, from the
Okay,
SteamWorld folks. It's fine. It's not great. It's not bad. It looks good. It plays well. It's got.
It's fine.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of narrative
Yeah, I like
driving you.
Yeah, I like the characters. I like the way those two interact with one another. It's disappointing coming from a person that is a big fan of the SteamWorld games, because those games are so phenomenal. Like SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig 2 are a couple of my like absolute favorite little I consider them portable games, even though they're on everything. Like
Yeah,
I've played them exclusively like on portable devices. It's like perfect for that. But this is like one of their first big like 3D adventures from this team. So it's like, for what it is, it's a competent 5 to 6 hour game that's on Game Pass. You could do a lot worse, especially with stuff that's on Game Pass. So that I've jumped back into the Mass Effect collection because I just have that itch that I need scratched, and it doesn't. And I have it, so I might as well just actually play Mass Effect. But just that, and Far Cry 6. I started playing Far Cry 6.
Whoa. Okay.
Because I'm a weak man that plays every Far Cry game that comes his way, and it's okay. It's not good. I hate everybody in this game. Everybody sucks. Everyone's just. I realize that they're in the middle of a war zone with a horrible dictator murdering everybody, but everyone's just a dick and just a bad, miserable person. And I'm kind of tired of that. I just skip the cutscenes at this point and just I will watch the Esposito scenes just because he chews the scenery in every scene that he's in, but he's not in it enough right now for me to really care. So it's just, I'm just going from, camp to camp, tagging people. They got some wild guns in this game. Like, there's some real crazy shit going on. It's like Quake level of here's a nail gun. Here's a gun that shoots poison that will slowly kill them, but also make them turn on enemies. You get this crazy backpack that looks like a Ghostbusters proton pack, and each one has a different effect. One of them does poison, one of them sends off an EMP, one of them has a flame burst that also gives you a double jump kind of thing. And it's just this ridiculous I feel
like the idea of what Far Cry. I mean, maybe I never knew what Far Cry was.
They don't know what Far Cry is.
But yeah, it feels like it's just kind of meaningless.
The thing they have this problem with every single Far Cry since the third one, where they're trying to have something kind of vaguely resembling commentary while also making the most ridiculous fucking game they possibly can. And
it always works out so much better when they just choose the extreme instead. Blood Dragon was just like good and fun.
Here's a Blood Dragon and 2 are the best Far Cry games because Blood Dragon is a wacky, zany 80s monstrosity, and 2 is the most kind of grueling gaming experience. Like you're trying to stave off malaria, your guns jam, you're like there's no humor in it. There's nothing funny about Far Cry 2, and like 3, 4, 5 all have this like if they need to make it Saints Row is what they need to do with Far Cry because
that's why Blood Dragon was so good because like it was the Saints Row of Far Cries
because it's a really sort of solid first person shooter with some fun mechanics, like just this sort of like half stealth kind of half like going it your own way kind of way. It's got this very like Metal Gear Solid 5 almost vibe to a lot of stuff where you're just like hitting a checkpoint and like you can go in and go guns a-blazing if you want and clear it out and take it over for whoever, or you can just, you know, go in and stealthily take people out with your silenced weapons and stealth kills. And, you know, the maps tend to be really good, these big wide open maps. But they can't decide what Far Cry is anymore. And that's like, it became like 3 was more serious. But it still got kind of like but the main villain was like an over the top sort of movie villain. And then by the time you hit 4, they were like, you know, they were adding some really crazy over the top shit going on while trying to make it a commentary. And then 5, they went like too hard. It's like everything in it is fucking insane. Except for the story of this weird Midwest cult thing that's trying to be a social commentary, I think, of like, you know, hard conservative bullshit, but it doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. And now 6 has a very, very serious storyline about a dictator and raising a dictator's son. But the rest of the game, like I said, I have an insane backpack that lets me do some crazy shit, and every weapon that I use has like I have one of the DLC thanks for signing up for whatever your Ubi Play stuff. This gun has magic bullets in it that just track down who you're shooting it at. You've got fire bullets, you've got explosive bullets, you've got it's just, you know, here's a gun that just like I said, like shoots poison. Like I don't understand what this game is anymore, and I'm kind of tired of it already. Like it's just. Luckily, I have the Ubisoft Plus thing, so it's just like I didn't pay money for it other than the money I'm paying to a month to be able to play whatever the new Riders Republic and Trackmania without having to, because. I love Trackmania, and it's like a monthly thing. But if you sign up for Ubi Play, it just includes that. So it's just basically doing the Trackmania thing without having to pay for the Trackmania thing, and I get all the other bullshit like every Assassin's Creed game. So it just makes sense to just do the Ubi Play thing or whatever they call it, which is coming to Xbox soon, I guess. So that's cool. I don't know if I don't want to pay for it twice, but it's like the EA thing where it's like. I can't use it used to be that you couldn't use the EA Origin Plus or whatever the fuck they used to call it. Like if the Xbox One and the PC one and the PlayStation one don't talk to one another, but now with it being in Game Pass, they, you know, the Xbox and PC ones talk with one another. So that's good, but you still doesn't include your PlayStation stuff. So, but that's it. That's it. I'm probably not going to play too much more Far Cry.
And you'll play that card fighter game pretty soon too.
Oh, I've already started the card.
He's already started. We'll talk about that next time then.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about the card fighter game because I've played it before, but
we'll wait.
I want to play this one a little more just because it's different. Because they used to, it's like Pokemon. It was 2 games, but they've included both in the package for $8, which is actually
nice.
That's actually really good value. If Nintendo did that, it would be like $35 for like Pokemon Red and Blue or whatever. So.
And with that, I guess that's it for tonight. Keeping us under an hour. It's over an hour and a half. Whatever. Keep it under 2 hours. Good show. Nice, calm show tonight.
Chill.
No Zach to
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
actually
son of a
give
bitch.
us.
We didn't talk about Star Citizen, so things
Didn't
kept
talk about
pretty
Star
quiet.
Citizen. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. No, we won't. talk about
That was a fun conversation this morning.
Yeah. I gotta say, you've got to get in the Discord, folks, because we have some good combos in there. Sometimes in the all public area, sometimes in just the staff area, but they're great combos. They're great combos. I learn a lot from these fine young people. Come the old guy. So I'm wearing a hat because I've lost more hair than JJ does, and I look bad with it. That's the sad part. You actually look good. I look horrible.
I at least have a smooth head, so
You at least have a smooth head. Yeah, mine looks like an avocado, or mine looks like a kiwi that somebody dropped on the ground. Is what my hair looks like. With that, yeah, Taylor, keep laughing. We don't have like the lovely locks like you do. All right, man.
Yeah, for now. Trust me. My days are numbered.
He's got
Your
a
days are numbered.
he's got a baby now. It's
That's
now,
true.
It's
Yeah,
the
now it
time
starts
the
falling
time
out.
is numbered.
Yeah.
Now it starts falling out. Well, gentlemen, definitely again want to thank you guys for spending
Always
a
fun.
lovely evening. Thank you to the viewers and the listeners. Y'all are the reason. One of the reasons we do this. The other reason is because I get so bored and cabin fever that they're saving.
You're just sitting in on three friends having a phone call.
Yeah,
and
talking about stuff.
Yeah,
I like that. That's what
So
the side
true.
quest is. We're just we're just friends having a phone call, talking games. Well, gents, have a wonderful evening. Say hi to
Come
your
around
families,
next
your
week.
pets. See
Listen
you.
to three friends talk about games then too.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, maybe 5 if Sam.
Maybe.
Maybe. Until then, you can find us sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV on the Twitch and the YouTube and all the podcast stuff. Tell your friends to download it, to subscribe.
Yeah. Join the Discord, seriously.
Join the Discord. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. That's it.
All right.
Take care, everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Take care, everybody. It hit me. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.